Imagine the great playwright Shakespeare observing the human drama unfold on stage and in the streets. He knew that all the world's a stage, and all the men and women merely players. They have their exits and their entrances, and one man in his time plays many parts. William Shakespeare. Chapter 1. The Pawn's Illusion. Blind ambition, a fool's solace. I saw the strings, felt the chessboard beneath my feet. Now I will show you the true players and how to escape their unseen grasp. The world tells you a flattering lie, that you are the main character of your own story. Right now, you are shackled by invisible chains, bleeding energy into conflicts that are not yours to win, reacting to scripts written by others. Exile from Florence understood this brutal truth in the deepest possible way, watching from the outside as others played games with the city he once served. He saw clearly that those who believed themselves central were often just pieces on a board, moved by hands they couldn't see. He grasped the illusion before it consumed him. This is the pawn's illusion. You believe your intentions matter most, that your struggles are unique, that your narrative holds primary importance. But you are merely a character in countless other people's stories, a tool for their agendas or an obstacle. You exist as nothing more than a resource or a nuisance in their ongoing personal sagas. Every action, every word, filters through another's self-interest. They don't care about your journey, they only care how it impacts theirs. This is why your relentless self-focus, this belief in your own spotlight, blinds you to true power, plays around you. It leaves you vulnerable, exposed, a reactive player, never truly in control. Watch what happens when you pour your heart out, revealing your deepest fears or grandest ambitions. You think you are building connection, sharing intimacy. They see a map of your weaknesses, a blueprint of your desires, and immediately begin to calculate how this new information can serve their own ends. Nothing leaks, nothing drains, everything compounds. You become predictable. You become easy to manipulate. Your emotional responses are cataloged, your triggers identified, and your boundaries consistently tested. They learn your patterns, your breaking points, your desperate needs for approval. Think about how often you found yourself doing favors you didn't want, agreeing to terms you disliked, or defending positions not truly yours. You felt an unseen pressure, a subtle obligation. That's the distinct feeling of being a pawn, moved without your explicit consent. It's a slow erosion of your will. Here's how you break free. You must stop acting as if the world revolves around your performance. Instead, step back and observe the true main characters, those who orchestrate, those who move pieces, those who exert influence without ever seeming to try. They are silent, they are calculating, they are everywhere. When you announce your intentions, people will either align to exploit them or conspire to undermine them. Your declaration becomes a target. But if you quietly execute, if you work from the shadows, there's nothing for them to grab onto, no exposed flank to attack. Your moves remain hidden, your power grows unseen. Enforced solitude didn't lament his fate. He studied power. He realized true influence wasn't public acclaim or formal title. It was understanding human nature's hidden mechanisms and political maneuvering. He chose to observe, dissect, and learn from the shadows. Understood the prince, not as a main character, but as a surgeon, detailing control's anatomy. What Niccolò Machiavelli understood is that the world operates on brutal rules, not schoolbook ideals. These rules prioritize self-preservation, strategic advantage, and ruthless power acquisition. He laid bare the blueprints of those who truly pull the strings. This isn't about being a villain, it's about not being a victim. It's about recognizing that every interaction is a negotiation, every relationship a potential battlefield. Sun Tzu, the ancient Chinese strategist, taught that the highest form of warfare is to subdue the enemy without fighting. He didn't mean through kindness. He meant through such superior positioning and hidden influence that conflict becomes unnecessary. When you refuse the role of the main character, you gain the vantage point of the director, not the actor. You see the entire stage, understanding the motivations of other players and the subtle cues they miss. You stop reacting to their pre-written scripts and begin to write your own, subtly, weaving it into the existing narrative. This is true control. They will try to draw you out, to force your hand, to make you reveal your position. Do not engage on their terms. Your silence is a weapon. Your mystery is. Chapter 2. Your invisible chains. Invisible chains, a dangerous vulnerability. Your true power lies in understanding the subtle ways others try to control you. See how even an emperor grappled with this invisible prison. An open invitation to be exploited. It is the blank canvas onto which others project their desires, their fears, their expectations. They will try to define you, to fit you into a convenient box, because a predictable person is a controllable person, but you are not obligated to accept their script. Picture Marcus Aurelius in ancient Rome, burdened with the weight of an empire, yet seeking solace and clarity not in public acclaim, but in his own private reflections. He understood the immense pressure to conform, to act out the role society demanded of him. This is the invisible chain that binds most men, the need for validation, the subtle pull of what others expect you to be, to say, to do. It is a cage fashioned from approval. This need to be seen, to be liked, to be understood, is your deepest vulnerability. It turns your life into a performance, where every move, every word is calculated for the audience you imagine. You become a puppet, not by force, but by your own desperate desire for acceptance. Your decisions are no longer yours. They are a compromise between what you truly want and what you believe will earn you praise. Watch what happens when you announce a new goal, a radical change, an ambitious venture. The moment you seek their approval, you surrender a piece of your power. Their skepticism becomes a weight, their doubt a poison. Their indifference, a subtle discouragement. You give them the power to shape your reality, to dim your light before it even has a chance to burn bright. Think about how many times you have tailored your opinions, filtered your true thoughts, or softened your ambition, just to avoid friction or gain a nod of approval. These small compromises accumulate, chipping away at your authentic self until you no longer recognize the original blueprint. You are living a life designed by committee, not by conviction. Here's how you break these invisible chains. Cultivate an impenetrable indifference to external validation. This is not arrogance, it is self-preservation. Marcus Aurelius, despite his imperial duties, continually retreated into his own mind, writing not for an audience, but for himself, to steel his resolve against the fickle opinions of the masses. He knew that the only judgment that truly mattered was his own. When you quietly execute your plans, when you pursue your vision, without broadcasting every step, there is nothing for them to criticize, nothing for them to endorse. There is only the undeniable fact of your progress, a force that speaks for itself. The person who constantly seeks applause is forever dependent on its sound. The one who moves in silence needs no external confirmation. What Marcus Aurelius understood is that your inner world is your true kingdom, and you alone are its ruler. He taught himself to separate what was within his control, his thoughts, his actions, his character, from what was outside it, other people's opinions, their judgments, their fleeting moods. This distinction is the chisel that cuts the chains. Socrates, centuries before, faced a similar trial, choosing conviction over popular opinion even when it cost him his life. He famously said, The unexamined life is not worth living. And, through his relentless questioning, he exposed the deep-seated invisible chains of unquestioned belief and societal pressure that held men captive. He demonstrated that true freedom begins with self-knowledge, uncorrupted by the expectations of the crowd. He challenged the very fabric of Athenian society, not by force, but by intellectual rigor, refusing to compromise his search for truth for the sake of popular acclaim. What Socrates understood is that most men live in a cage of their own making, fearing the truth more than their chains. Your worth is not determined by the number of likes, the compliments received, or the approval granted. It is forged in the silent crucible of your own integrity. When you sever these invisible chains, you gain a dangerous independence. Your actions become pure, your decisions uncorrupted by the need to please. You become a force of nature, unpredictable and therefore formidable. But this liberation comes with a price. There is another form of control, a more primal trap, one that lies not in what others think of you, but in the unseen forces that hijack your very emotions. What is it? Chapter 3, The Supporting Role. The supporting role, a fate worse than death. You see, the most cunning among us understand this. Others will always seek to write your story. The unseen forces that hijack your very emotions. Picture Napoleon Bonaparte in the magnificent Cathedral of Notre Dame on that cold December day. The Pope was there, ready to place the imperial crown on Josephine's head. But Napoleon Bonaparte stopped him. He took the crown himself and, with a calculated flourish, placed it on her, then his own. He was not merely accepting a role, he was defining it. He was the main character, the orchestrator. What he understood, long before anyone articulated it, was the danger of playing a supporting role. Too many of you are living as supporting characters in someone else's epic. You are the loyal friend, the invaluable employee, the dependable partner. You spend your energy, your talent, your time building another person's empire, fueling their ambition, stabilizing their chaos. You become indispensable, yes, but indispensable to their story, not your own. Your life is a side quest, a subplot in someone else's grand adventure. Why does this destroy you? Because your own narrative stalls. Your dreams collect dust while you are busy polishing someone else's crown. You become a resource to be tapped, a tool to be wielded. They appreciate your loyalty, they praise your dedication, but they rarely see you. You are function, a necessary component, but never the central driving force. You are giving away your most precious assets, your focus, your drive, your very identity, to a story that is not yours to finish. Think about your job. Are you the quiet engine, ensuring the machinery runs smoothly while someone else takes the credit for the product? In your relationships, are you the emotional anchor, the one who always listens, always gives, while your partner pursues their passions, unburdened by your needs? Watch what happens when you pour your life into enabling others. Their ascent is built on your quiet sacrifice. Their spotlight shines because you are content to be in the shadows. Here's how you reclaim your stage. You identify the narratives you are currently serving. You look at who benefits most from your current investments of time and emotion. Then you ruthlessly redirect. It's not about abandoning people. It's about strategically reprioritizing your narrative. You shift from being a reactor to being an initiator. You create your own projects, pursue your own desires, build your own world. If you announce your new solo ambition, people will resist. They will see it as a betrayal. They have grown accustomed to your supporting presence. They will remind you of your duty or your loyalty. But if you quietly start building your own momentum, if you slowly peel back your contributions to their story and reinvest them into yours, there's nothing for them to fight against. You simply become less available, less accessible, more focused on your own path. Julius Caesar understood this principle profoundly. He did not rise to power by being a good second in command. He consistently positioned himself as the essential figure, the one whose vision and will were paramount. He built loyalties that centered around him, not around the Republic or any other person. He knew that power accrues to the one who takes the lead, not the one who facilitates it. Napoleon Bonaparte did not simply take the crown for himself. He established a precedent. He made it clear that he was the source of authority, even for his own wife. His actions solidified his position as the architect of his destiny and the destiny of those around him. This subtle display of power, this unspoken declaration of primary authorship, is what you must emulate. You must stop being the supporting actor in the drama of your own life. You must write your own script, cast your own roles, and direct your own scenes. The moment you take that crown and place it upon your own head, quietly, firmly, you begin to rewrite your destiny. Your value isn't in service, it's in sovereignty. But even when you claim your sovereignty, there are forces that will try to undermine it from within. What is the most insidious of these saboteurs? Chapter 4. The Scripted Self. The scripted self, your cage. Freud unveiled the unseen strings, the whispers of others defining your very being. Now we dissect. Who pulls your puppet strings? The most insidious saboteur is the role you unconsciously play, the scripted self others have written for you. Picture Sigmund Freud in Belle Epoque Vienna, a quiet room filled with the hushed confessions of his patients. He sat, listening intently, not to the surface stories, but to the hidden currents, the dreams, the slips of the tongue. Sigmund Freud demonstrated that beneath the polite facade, there were deeper, darker motivations, unconscious drives shaping every choice. He saw how people built elaborate, often fragile identities based on external expectations and fears. You are no different. You walk through life acting out a character, a performance crafted from what others expect, what society demands, what you believe will bring you acceptance. This manufactured identity is not yours. It's a prison of other people's making, a script you follow without realizing you have the power to throw it away. Every time you conform, every time you bite your tongue to avoid friction, you reinforce the chains of this scripted self, draining your authentic power. Your true desires, your raw ambition, they get filed away, deemed inappropriate for the part you've been assigned. Think about the friend who always plays the agreeable mediator, or the colleague who constantly seeks validation for every small task. They are trapped. Watch what happens when they try to step outside that role, the discomfort, the pushback from others who relied on that predictable behavior. People prefer you in your assigned box. It makes their world simpler, their expectations met. They have no interest in your evolution if it disrupts their comfort. Here's how you break free. You become your own analyst, just as Sigmund Freud taught us to look inward. Start by observing your reactions, your automatic responses in social settings. When do you laugh when you don't find something funny? When do you agree when you truly disagree? When do you soften your posture or tone to appear less threatening? These are the tells of the script, the moments your true self is being overridden by the programmed character. The dark strategy is not to announce your rebellion, but to quietly, meticulously rewrite your internal code. If you proclaim, "I'm changing who I am," people will challenge it, test it, try to pull you back into the old role. But if you simply act differently, without explanation, without asking for permission, there's nothing for them to fight against. You are not debating, you are doing. Your actions become your new truth. Sigmund Freud's work illuminated that the unconscious holds immense power, but it can be brought to light. You must excavate the assumptions you've made about yourself, the labels you've accepted, the narratives others have imposed. Question every "I am" statement that feels less like a declaration and more like a costume. This is a cold surgical process of self-deconstruction. Carl Jung, another master of the mind, spoke of the persona, the mask we wear to fit into society. What he understood is that identifying too strongly with this persona can lead to a disconnection from one's authentic self, a loss of soul. While a mask serves a purpose, you must always know it is a mask and not your face. You cannot allow the world to define your essence. This is not about becoming a different person. It's about stripping away the layers of pretense to reveal the ruthless, unyielding core that was always there. It's about rejecting the role of the supporting actor and seizing the lead. Your environment shapes you, yes, but you must shape your response to it, or you become a puppet. You must learn to detect the subtle cues, the invisible strings that pull your behavior. This quiet, internal revolution is the foundation of true power. It frees your energy from maintaining a false front, allowing it to fuel your genuine ambitions. When you shed the scripted self, you become unpredictable. To those who relied on your predictability, you become dangerous. The true self is not found in fitting in, but in standing out, even if that means standing alone. You are not obligated to be the person others need you to be. That is their need, not your destiny. The moment you stop performing, you start living. But even with this newfound authenticity, there remains a constant threat, a hidden mechanism that drains your energy and blunts your edge. It's not external. It's woven into the fabric of your daily interactions, a silent bleed that siphons your vitality. What is this invisible siphon? Chapter 5. The Architect's Vision. The Architect's Vision. The greatest error is to play a game you do not understand. True power lies not in victory, but in designing the very arena. This invisible siphon is not a person or a single event, but a fundamental misunderstanding of power itself. The Architect's Vision. Picture John D. Rockefeller in Gilded Age America. He wasn't just drilling for oil. He was systematically acquiring every refinery, every pipeline, every single piece of the processing chain. John D. Rockefeller understood that the real power wasn't in merely finding the raw material, but in owning the entire flow, in designing and controlling the very game board itself. Most people exist as players within games they did not design. They spend their entire lives chasing metrics, competing for prizes, or adhering to rules set by an unseen hand. They believe their energy is spent on winning, but in reality, it is drained by participating in a system built to extract value from them, a system where the odds are always stacked in the architect's favor. You are not the main character if someone else wrote the script. Watch what happens when you enter any new environment, a job, a social circle, a relationship. You are handed a set of unspoken expectations, a hierarchy, a code of conduct. You try to adapt, to climb, to earn your place. But are you defining the terms of engagement, or are you simply accepting the boundaries someone else drew for you? Here's how you eliminate this silent bleed. You stop playing the game and start observing the architecture. You analyze the hidden structures, the unspoken rules, the actual flows of power and resources, rather than the declared ones. You learn to see the scaffolding, the blueprints, and the leverage points that control the system. The dark strategy is to build your own system, however small. John D. Rockefeller wasn't interested in being the best oil prospector. He focused on becoming the indispensable refiner. He didn't just compete. He built the framework that made others dependent, turning their success into his own inevitable gain. This is how you shift from being a piece on the board to controlling the hand that moves them. If you announce your grand plans to win or disrupt, people will either ignore you, compete with you, or attempt to sabotage you. But if you quietly build the infrastructure, if you acquire the strategic choke points without fanfare, there's nothing for them to fight against. There is simply a new reality, an established system. John D. Rockefeller understood the power of inevitability. He didn't make grand declarations. He made strategic acquisitions. He didn't fight the existing players head-on. He simply made it impossible for them to operate without his involvement. His vision was total control, secured through silent, methodical action. Andrew Carnegie, who built his steel empire by controlling everything from the iron ore mines to the transportation lines, famously understood this principle when he said, "Pioneering don't pay." He wasn't suggesting that innovation was useless, but rather that the real enduring wealth and power came not from being the first to discover, but from being the one who owned the means of production, who designed the process. What Andrew Carnegie understood is that true power lies in establishing and controlling the essential infrastructure, not just being an early entrant. He saw beyond the initial gold rush to the steady, foundational elements that kept the entire economy moving. He didn't chase fleeting trends, he built the bedrock. This applies to your life right now. Are you chasing trends, or are you building foundations? Are you participating in a system that rewards you for playing by its rules, or are you creating the rules for your own ecosystem? Stop asking for a seat at the table and start building your own table, inviting the select few who serve your vision. The insidious nature of the siphon is that it convinces you that success is about effort within the existing framework. It makes you believe you need to push harder, be smarter, or network more effectively inside a game designed to cap your potential and divert your rewards. This keeps you trapped in a cycle of exertion without true growth. The ultimate power is often invisible because it is so foundational. It is the structure itself. The architect doesn't need applause or recognition. They simply need the game to be played. And as long as others are playing, the architect is winning. This subtle shift in perspective, from player to designer, is your greatest weapon. But even when you begin to see the architecture, to build your own game, there is another subtle force that can pull you back into the old script. It's an internal betrayal, a self-sabotage that comes from your own mind, subtly pushing you to leak power in ways you don't even recognize. What is this internal leak? Chapter 6, The Unseen Strings. Unseen strings. They pull you, they push you, they guide you. But the deepest betrayal? It's the unseen strings you pull on yourself, leaking your own power. Recognizing these unseen strings is the first step to cutting them. But even when you master the external game, there's a deeper, more insidious threat that lies within you. It's an internal betrayal, a self-sabotage that comes from your own mind, subtly pushing you to leak power in ways you don't even recognize. What is this internal leak? The problem is what I call the unseen strings. These are the subtle manipulative tactics used by others to steer your decisions and actions without direct command. They pull you, they push you, they guide you, and you barely register the pressure. Your choices feel like your own, but the path was laid out for you. This destroys you because it strips your agency, slowly, invisibly. Every decision you believe is yours, but which was in fact orchestrated by someone else, means you are operating on their terms, not your own. Your life becomes a performance dictated by an unseen director, and you are merely the actor. You lose control of your narrative, your trajectory, your very direction. Picture Cardinal Richelieu in early modern France, a time when power was fragmented and the king's authority was constantly challenged by internal factions. Richelieu understood that direct confrontation often led to costly, drawn-out wars. He preferred to pull strings, to create the conditions that would force his enemies into a position where they had no choice but to fold or expose themselves. Watch what happens when someone wants you to do something, but fears direct refusal. They don't command. Instead, they plant seeds. They casually mention a problem you are uniquely suited to solve, not as a request, but as an observation. They create an environment where your inaction would seem illogical, even detrimental to your own perceived interests. The dark strategy here is to become the architect of your own environment rather than a pawn within theirs. Cardinal Richelieu didn't ban the powerful Protestant Huguenots outright. He systematically dismantled their political and military strongholds, isolating them, making their power irrelevant without ever directly attacking their faith. He controlled the pieces on the board, not just the players. This means you must learn to read between the lines of every suggestion, every opportunity. What is the true motive behind their words? What do they stand to gain? if you follow their unspoken directive. Who benefits most from this win-win scenario they're presenting? Louis XIV, the Sun King, understood this principle on a grand scale. He didn't just rule, he orchestrated. He designed an elaborate courtly system at Versailles, where proximity to the king meant status, and status meant everything. He didn't command loyalty through fear, but through an intricate web of social dependencies, making every noble's ambition inextricably linked to his own favor. If you announce your intentions, if you state your desires openly, you invite resistance and direct opposition. People will either compete directly or actively try to sabotage your efforts. Your power drains as you fight on visible battlefields. But if you quietly influence the environment, if you subtly shift the perception, if you create the conditions where your desired outcome becomes the only logical conclusion for others, then there is nothing to fight. There is no resistance, because they believe the idea was their own. They internalize your agenda as theirs. This is why you must learn to observe the subtle nudges, the carefully chosen words, the implied threats or promises that guide your actions. See the unseen strings being pulled, dissect the invisible choreography. You are being moved, even when you feel most in control. Here's how you begin to cut these strings. First, assume nothing is accidental. Every piece of information, every casual comment, every chance encounter serves a purpose. Ask yourself, who put this information here and why? What outcome does it serve? Second, cultivate an internal detachment from outcomes. When you are desperate for a specific result, you become easily manipulated. Your desperation is a string they can pull. Remove the emotion, analyze the facts. What Cardinal Richelieu understood is that true power isn't about giving orders, but about creating a reality where your will is effortlessly done. He crafted situations, not commands. He built a system that funneled power towards the monarchy, disarming challengers through strategic isolation and manipulation, not just brute force. So you must become a master of the chessboard, not just a piece upon it. See the board, see the other players, and anticipate their subtle moves. If you can see the strings, you can learn to pull them yourself, or better yet, to sever them entirely. Chapter 7. Expendable Assets. The Khan's calculus, a harsh lesson. You are a tool, a resource. Understand this truth or be forever a pawn. Picture Genghis Khan in the vast, unforgiving steppes of the Mongol Empire, faced with warring tribes and a brutal landscape. He didn't just conquer, he absorbed. He unified disparate clans by making their survival and prosperity dependent on his vision. He understood that loyalty was a tool, and individuals often were merely pieces to be moved or sacrificed for the greater whole. This is the brutal truth you often forget about yourself. To those who hold power, you are frequently an expendable asset. Your life, your time, your energy, they are resources to be leveraged, not treasures to be protected. The moment you cease to be useful, or when a cheaper option emerges, you become redundant. You invest emotion, loyalty, and effort into people, projects, or companies that view your contributions as interchangeable. They will drain you dry, take what they need, and then cut you loose. Your worth, in their eyes, is reduced to a metric, a line item on their balance sheet, or a convenient placeholder in their social structure. Think about the corporate ladder, or even your social circle. You pour late nights into a project, believing your dedication will be rewarded with recognition or advancement. Or you consistently overextend yourself for a friend, always being the one who shows up, always solving their urgent problems. Watch what happens when you momentarily step back. The project continues, perhaps with someone else stepping into your shoes. The friend finds another ear to bend, another shoulder to lean on. Your absence, though noticed, rarely halts the momentum of their lives. Genghis Khan built loyalty, not by valuing individual lives above the collective, but by making the collective success undeniably beneficial to each individual. He offered plunder, status, and stability through conquest, not through sentimentality. He provided clear, brutal incentives for ruthless efficiency. for an ironclad cohesion that served his ultimate goal. Here's how you apply this. You must cultivate your own value, not just your availability. Make yourself a force multiplier, not just another replaceable cog. Your utility should be specific, specialized, and difficult to replicate, forcing those who benefit from you to recognize your unique contribution. If you constantly offer your services, your time, your emotional labor, without clear reciprocal value, people will take it for granted. They will see you as a free resource, always there, always willing, always expecting nothing in return. This is the definition of expendability. But if you calibrate your contributions, making them conditional on specific outcomes or reciprocal actions, you force them to recognize your value, not just your presence. You shift from being a limitless reservoir to a valued, yet controlled, tap. Genghis Khan, who united a disparate people into the largest contiguous empire in history, understood that sentimentality was a profound weakness. He demanded absolute loyalty and delivered absolute results. His people were assets, yes, but assets in power to achieve, driven by a shared material gain. This mindset is not about being cruel, but about being brutally realistic. It's about understanding the cold calculus of power. What Vlad the Impaler understood in the treacherous political landscape of 15th century Wallachia was that clear, unambiguous consequences were far more effective than vague threats. His enemies, and sometimes his own people, learned quickly that their position was never secure if they betrayed his vision or proved to be a liability. Vlad the Impaler's message was stark: align or be eliminated. He made being an expendable asset a terrifying reality for anyone who stood in his way. Your goal is to be indispensable, not just available. You achieve this by creating value so unique, so integrated, that removing you becomes a costly, disruptive act. You force them to adapt to your terms, rather than adapting to theirs. The world is not waiting for your unique spark, it's waiting for you to demonstrate utility. But there's another insidious trap, one that masquerades as genuine connection, drawing you into a deeper kind of vulnerability. What is it? Chapter 8. The Doctrine. Your heart, a map. They seek your vulnerabilities to define your worth, control your value. Learn from Nietzsche. Forge your own path or be broken. That insidious trap is the lure of shared vulnerability, the perceived safety of an open heart, when in reality, it's just another opportunity for them to map your weaknesses. They want to know where you break, where you yearn for connection. They want to define your worth, because once they do, they control your value. Picture Friedrich Nietzsche in 19th century Germany, isolated in Sils Maria. He wasn't seeking validation from the academic world that had rejected him, nor did he beg for a role in their intellectual theater. He was forging his own worldview, writing Thus Spoke Zarathustra, a book that created its own universe, its own moral code. He understood that true power isn't found in fitting into someone else's story, but in writing your own doctrine. This is the final and most ruthless lesson. You must create your own doctrine. You are not the main character of their drama. You are the architect of your own. Your doctrine is your personal constitution, the unshakable framework of your existence, independent of external approval or narratives. Every time you rely on their definition of success, their approval of your choices, their validation of your pain, you are leaking power. You are giving them the pen to write your story. Your entire life becomes a performance for an audience that doesn't care about your liberation, only your utility within their script. Here's how you begin to assert this. You define your own terms, your values, your metrics, your vision of a life well lived. Not what society tells you, not what your family demands, not what your peers project. You decide what success looks like, what integrity means, what peace feels like. Watch what happens when you operate from this internal doctrine. They will try to pull you back into their orbit, into their emotional blackmail, into their manufactured crises. They will call you selfish, cold, or arrogant. These are the sounds of their control slipping away, the noise of their power dissolving. They need you to be a supporting character, a reaction to their actions. When you build your own world, your own doctrine, you deny them that role. You cease to be a mirror, reflecting their needs, and become a sun, radiating your own light, demanding they adjust their gaze. Miyamoto Musashi, the Sword Saint, lived his life by a similar code. He didn't seek to impress feudal lords or become a retainer. He walked his own path, fighting duels, refining his technique. His Dokujo, the path of solitude, lays out 21 precepts for living a disciplined, self-reliant life free from attachments and external approval. What Musashi understood is that internal clarity and self-reliance forge an impenetrable will, a personal doctrine that cannot be swayed by the dramas of others. Your doctrine is not announced. It is demonstrated. It is not debated. It is simply lived. Friedrich Nietzsche championed the will to power, not as domination over others, but as the power to create, to define oneself, to overcome every imposed limitation. He dared to stand alone, to craft a philosophy that defied the conventions of his time. You must do the same. This means cutting the strings, severing the emotional dependencies, disconnecting from the narratives that diminish you. It means understanding that their expectations are not your obligations, and their projections are not your truth. Stop asking for permission. Stop waiting for validation. Start building, start defining, start living according to your rules, your vision, your silent doctrine. There is no one coming to save you, no one to give you the role you crave. You are not the main character of their life, but you are the absolute, unquestioned sovereign of your own. They will either adapt to your doctrine, or they will fade into the background. Let them fade.